Mizuno, as a lot of people out there know, are known for their irons. They have an extensive iron history. Everybody knows Mizuno for craftsmanship and quality, and they always have a tight dispersion on their irons. But in recent years, we've seen Mizuno add some tech to even some of their more traditional shaping, and that's what we're getting in the new Mizuno Pro, which is what you tested. What was your initial experience like pulling it out of the box? I'm always curious. Like, what were your thoughts on like first look and overall appearance?
These are like maybe some of the most beautiful looking irons I've ever seen. It's like each one, the finish is beautiful. The lines on them when you set the club down, it's just like it's exactly what I want to see. Granted, I'm used to their shaping, but it just fits my eye so well.
I think looking at overall profile and how it looks at address is just so critically important. It's the first box that needs to be checked before you get into performance. But I'm looking at your setup here, and I love this because this is exactly what I know Mizuno is going for this year. So they have 3 different models in this lineup, and the Mizuno Pro is definitely more of your traditional shaping, but it does have some tech built in to a couple of the models. But you went with the perfect blended set here, man. You ended up with 3 models. Was that something that you like worked your way into, or did you just like tell them, hey, here's what I'd like to start with, and it just ended up working out for you?
Yeah, it just ended up working out for me really well. Obviously I didn't get a chance to go down there and get fit with them, so I used specs from a fitting last year, and I figured it would be pretty good to get a feel for all the models. And last year, my set of irons was a little bit more forgiving, especially in the longer to mid irons than I had previously used. So I figured, the 245s are the first player's distance iron I've ever played. So I have that just in my driving iron and the 4-iron, but I've never played a hollow bodied iron before in my life. So I thought having that help in the 4-iron, everybody struggles with a 4-iron. Let's nobody except the best and the best of the best as they can hit, high pretty 4-irons every single time. But having that little extra help now with that hollow bodied 4-iron is just actually, in the month and a half, I probably only hit it, a dozen times or so, but it's so much easier to get the ball airborne. As silly as that sounds for someone who's a 1 handicap to say, it's easy for me to get this club airborne with a 4-iron, but it really makes a huge difference. So
I say, what was the having this be like your first experience with a hollow body iron? How would you compare the feel of that to the other clubs in the set? And did you find that they matched well going from the top to the bottom?
The 243 4-iron, I probably couldn't tell you the difference if I just looked at it from the top. I mean, the lines really blend together really, really well. Even going from the 243 to the 241 in the 8 and 9 irons in my set, it's really, really tough to tell. And I think Mizuno's gotten really, really good at blending, creating these blended sets when you adjust the lofts the way they want you to.
It's definitely one of those things that we see from them and the way that they talk about their irons is it's not just like specific models. They talk about series. So it's like 2.4. It was the 2.4X series because 2.41, 2.43, 2.45. It is really a telltale sign of those irons and in the way that they blend through the set. And that's why I was curious in getting your perspective and having had all 3 in the set to test what that was like.
We talked about the long irons. With the short irons, I think, everybody always talks about the best players can hit their long irons high and their short irons low. And having the blade and the pitching wedge and the 9-iron has been really good for me to be able to hit those low driving shots. They don't, there's not as much technology in the 241. There is some technology. I'm sure you guys, know about that obviously, and can talk about that better than I can, but, so they don't quite go as far, but I don't need my 9-iron and my pitching wedge to go 140, 150, 160, 70 yards, whatever. I want them to be controlled, That's why Tiger plays a 50-degree pitching wedge,
Yeah. Control is so important. And one of the things that I saw from your report on testing these was you were able to see the ball speed on, say, a 7-iron. You were touching 130, but you're also seeing an increase in spin. So you're getting a ball that's traveling a similar distance. You're getting that higher peak height, which is what you
Mhm.
want, because especially in like the mid and short irons, that's going to ultimately lead to a shot that stops on the green versus one that's coming in with a suboptimal angle and hitting and then skidding off the green. And that's one area where I feel like golfers tend to worry, is when they see spin jump. But in your case, it all came together as this perfect package in those mid irons. You're getting everything that you would want in a club like that for a player of your caliber.
Yeah, with the 7-iron, I think my carry distances compared to this year versus last year are about the same, but the roll is less because that spin is like almost, I think it's almost 1,000 RPM. I'm comparing numbers from last year to the numbers this year, so
Right.
it's obviously not a perfect comparison, but it's about 1,000 RPMs difference from my previous 7-iron to the current one.
Yeah, that's so important. And as far as the going down into the 241 and the short irons, and again, this just goes to show you how Mizuno builds these sets. They don't just, you can go out and you can buy a set of one model, but you were seeing a more controlled flight
Yeah.
in those short irons, which again, that's what you want. I think that's what a lot of tour pros want nowadays. Is we're gone from the days of trying to factor in a ball sucking back off the green. Like, those guys want a controlled flight. They want something that's coming in a little bit lower and that's gonna, still have the launch, but stop on the green. So you're able to get that in those mid, a little bit higher launch, going into the short irons, a little bit more controlled launch. And I think that's where Mizuno nails it, is you can pick one model and go with it, or you can blend all three like Jack did and find the perfect setup for your game.